Good afternoon, Year 9 remote learners. We're starting a new unit today. The unit's called Programming. And for this unit, you will need this PowerPoint. So just make sure you've got it opened up and ready on your screen. Now, there are so many different ways that you can learn programming, and we start off nice and easy using a visual programming application called Scratch. It's web-based, so if you go into a browser and you type in scratch.mit.edu, you will see this interface over here, and you can use this environment to code in. There's going to be quite a few keywords in this unit, such as interface, sequencing, repetition, and decision making. And so hopefully over the course of today's lesson, you'll get an opportunity to introduce some of these programming elements into your game. So before we get started on actual coding, we're just going to get used to the interface. So in Scratch over here, if I click on Create, it opens up the interface that you can code in. So on this side, you can have a look at some of these tutorials. I'm just going to exit out of that. You can have a play around with this software and explore. And once you've done that, you're going to label up these areas. If you think this arrow here points to change costume, you can drag and you can drop it over here. You're going to look at all of these different areas and you're going to drag and drop the labels around there. Once you've done that, we're going to move on to actually doing some programming. So to do this, we'll need a template. The template is the underwater adventure template. So I'm going to go back into Scratch, back into the home page, and in the search bar, I can type in, what was it again? It was underwater adventure template. And if I search for that, it brings up this one over here by Edulito, which is the same one on the slide over here. And then you can open it. And once you've opened up the project, you can see inside, and once you see inside, you've got the template for which you can code. So what you're going to do is you're going to make the starfish move, and you can read the slide, have a look at the code, and see if you can implement the code into Scratch, and then you're going to screenshot the evidence over here. Second part of the game is you're going to make the jellyfish sort of move around the screen. So follow the instructions on the slide, add your code in, and show your evidence over here. And lastly, you're going to be doing some firing splodge from the starfish. So you're going to click on the starfish, you're going to add a bit of code, and you're going to evidence it over here. Up until now, you've had quite a bit of support sort of getting your game working. So task 5, you get the opportunity to do something yourself without much support. So you can have a look at the options that are available over here. You can pick 1, 2, 3, as much as you want, and then you can code them and you can drop the evidence into here to show what you've been coding. Now, if you want a bit of support, there's adding a score. There's a bit of support here if you wanted to do that, and you can add your adding a score screenshot over here. Or if you wanted to add a game over and you couldn't figure out how to do it yourself, then there's a little bit of support on this slide and you can evidence it over here as well. Over the course of the lesson, I hope you've got to use these blocks over here, the repeat block, the forever block, the if-then block, and the repeat until block. And if you haven't, then you can go back and you can have a look at your game and see if you can figure out what they do. And then in these areas over here, you're just going to write a sentence explaining what this piece of code does. Okay, that's the end of today's lesson. So once you've finished, you can save and upload this complete PowerPoint with all of your screenshots back to Teams. You can sanitize your chair, keyboard, mouse, and desk, and then you can move on to your next lesson. Thank you very much for taking part in this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new.